There is something powerful, almost sacred, about simply showing up. We live in a world obsessed with talent, with speed, with breakthroughs. Everyone wants the hack, the shortcut, the fast lane. But while others chase the spectacular, the truly successful understand a deeper principle. It's not what you do once that changes your life, it's what you do every day. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, but showing up is where the real transformation begins. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to know exactly what to do. You just have to be there. Be there when it's cold. Be there when it's lonely. Be there when you're tired, when your emotions scream no and your mind gives you 100 reasons to stop. Because here's the truth, the act of showing up is often more important than what you do when you arrive. Let me ask you something. How many dreams die not because someone wasn't good enough, but because they simply didn't show up long enough to get better? Think about that. Talent might set the pace, but consistency crosses the finish line. Discipline isn't about doing something once. It's about building a foundation brick by brick, day by day, even when it looks like nothing's changing. Have you ever gone to the gym and seen no results the next day? Of course. You don't lift once and walk out with a six-pack. You don't study for 1 hour and become a master. You don't write one page and call yourself an author. Progress is invisible at first. But when you show up every day, when you commit without needing applause, without instant gratification, something begins to shift inside you. You begin to build identity. And that's where the gold is. Because identity is stronger than motivation. Motivation fades, emotions change, circumstances shift. But when you build the habit of showing up, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You already know the answer, it doesn't matter, you do it anyway. That's what separates the amateur from the pro. That's what separates wishful thinkers from disciplined doers. You see, there's a certain respect the world gives to those who keep showing up. Not because they're always winning, not because they always look good doing it, but because there's something undeniably powerful about a person who refuses to quit. A person who keeps writing when the page is blank, who keeps training when the crowd is gone, who keeps building when no one is watching. Let's be honest, there will be days when you don't feel like it. You'll be exhausted. You'll be discouraged. You'll be tempted to believe that nothing you're doing is making a difference. But I promise you, it is. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, you're strengthening your mind. You're reinforcing the idea that you are not ruled by your emotion. You're developing grit, character, and self-respect. Because every time you honor your commitment, you build trust with yourself, and that trust is rare in this world. Most people break promises to themselves. They say they'll start, they say they'll try, but when it gets uncomfortable, they disappear. Not you. You push, you persist, you repeat. Because you've learned that the key to extraordinary results is not occasional brilliance, but relentless consistency. And that's why showing up daily matters. Not just for the results it brings, but for the person it makes you become. Because if you can master the discipline of showing up, you can master almost anything in life. You don't need to lead tall buildings. You don't need to be born with an advantage. You just need to wake up and do what needs to be done, even when it's hard, every single day. Small efforts add up to massive results. We often underestimate the power of small efforts. In a world conditioned to glorify massive action, overnight success, and instant transformation, it's easy to overlook the real engine behind greatness, the quiet, often unnoticed effort that gets repeated day after day. But here's the truth that most people miss. Small efforts done consistently create massive results over time. Not occasionally, not randomly, but consistently. Let's be honest, everyone is excited at the start. Everyone sets big goals on January 1st. Everyone talks about big dreams and big changes. But the ones who actually create meaningful outcomes, they aren't always the ones with the loudest voices or the most talent. They are the ones who understand the law of accumulation, the idea that every drop matters, every rep counts, every step moves you forward. Think of water dripping onto a rock. It doesn't crack the stone in one moment, but over time, day after day, drip after drip, the stone gives way. Not because the water is powerful, but because it is persistent. Your efforts work the same way. That 10-minute workout, that one healthy meal, that extra chapter you read, that hour of focus after the kids go to bed. These things might seem small in the moment. They might feel insignificant. But when repeated over weeks, months, and years, they become unstoppable. They become the difference between a life of regret and a life of momentum. The problem isn't that people don't work hard. It's that they work hard inconsistently. They sprint, then stop. Push, then rest for too long. Start again, get discouraged, and quit before the real results ever have time to show up. The winners in life are not always the fastest or the smartest. They are the ones who simply refuse to stop. They understand that effort, no matter how small, is never wasted. It's stored, it's deposited, it's compounding silently until one day the result becomes visible. Imagine planting a seed. You don't come back tomorrow and yell at the dirt because there's no tree. You water it, you care for it, you trust the process. The same applies to your goals. You keep showing up, you keep adding value, you keep doing the little things because you know those little things are the foundation of big success. Don't underestimate the power of 10 good minutes. Don't ignore the value of small wins because they build momentum, they build identity, and they teach you to trust yourself. What happens when you start to see results? You begin to believe in your own discipline. You start to feel the payoff. The workouts get easier. The business grows. Your mind sharpens. Your energy rises. And now the small things that once felt heavy become habits that feel light. You begin to operate from a new identity, a person who follows through, a person who builds things, a person who creates results over time. That's where the magic happens, not in a day of intensity, but in 1,000 days of steady, quiet action. So remember this, no one climbs the mountain in a single leap. They take one step, then another, and another. The top is reserved for those who master the climb, not those who fantasize about the view. When you commit to the small, you position yourself for the big. When you honor the daily discipline, the long-term reward becomes inevitable. Your routine is your real identity. If you really want to know who you are, stop listening to your words and start observing your routine. We like to think of ourselves based on our intentions, our dreams, and our goals. We say we're disciplined, we say we're focused, we say we're going to do better next week. But in the end, identity is not defined by what you say, it's defined by what you do consistently. Your routine is your real identity. That's the raw truth. What you choose to do every day reveals what you truly value. If you say your health matters, but you skip workouts and eat junk, your routine exposes your real priorities. If you say you're committed to growth, but you never read, never reflect, and never plan your days, then your life is simply echoing a different truth than your words. Your habits are louder than your declarations. They are the mirror that reflects who you actually are, not who you wish to be. And that's not meant to shame anyone, it's meant to awaken us, because the most powerful realization is this: if your routine shapes your identity, then changing your routine can change your life. Every time you show up and follow through, even in a small way, you are rewriting your story. You are building a new self-image. One push-up might not change your body, but the act of doing it when you didn't feel like it, that changes your confidence, that changes your mindset. It confirms to your brain, I am someone who follows through. Every powerful person you admire has mastered their routine. It's not an accident, it's not luck. It's not always motivation either. It's often boring. It's often repetitive. But that repetition becomes rhythm, and that rhythm becomes power. Think of an elite athlete. Think of a successful entrepreneur. Think of someone who commands respect. They didn't get there by reacting to life. They got there by taking command of their time, their energy, and their habit. They built a life that supports the person they want to be. You see, when your routine is built on discipline, your future is built on stability. You no longer live at the mercy of your emotions or distractions. You become intentional. You become structured. You become someone who is living life on purpose, not by accident. Most people are drifting. They wake up and react. No plan, no preparation, no clarity. They check their phones before they check in with their purpose, and then they wonder why they feel anxious, tired, behind, and lost. But when you craft a routine around your values, you regain control. You wake up and decide what matters. You protect your priorities. You invest your time where it counts. And gradually your life starts to look like your vision. So if you're stuck, overwhelmed, or confused, don't just set bigger goals. Rebuild your routine. Track your habits. Master your mornings. Guard your evenings. And stop waiting to feel like it. Your identity isn't shaped in motivation. It's shaped in consistency. You don't rise by accident, you rise by design. Comfort is a liar. It feels warm, it feels safe. It lulls you into believing everything is fine, that you're doing enough, that you don't need to push harder, that you don't need to stretch, that maybe you can start tomorrow. And while you're wrapped in that illusion, days pass, months slip away, and years vanish, all while your potential sits untouched, untapped, and untested. The most dangerous part. You don't even realize it's happening. Comfort doesn't announce itself as your enemy. It comes disguised as peace, as rest, as reward. But in reality, it is often the single greatest barrier between who you are and who you could become. Growth never happens in the comfort zone. Think about every moment in your life when you truly evolved, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Were you comfortable, or were you stretched, challenged, uncertain? Growth is born in friction, forged in resistance. Just like muscles need tension to grow, the mind needs discomfort to sharpen. Character is not built in easy times. It's built when you're tired, but keep going. When you're afraid, but take the risk anyway. When you're unsure, but step forward into the unknown. The problem is we are wired to avoid discomfort. Our brains are built for survival, not success. They tell us to stay where it's safe, to avoid risk, to seek pleasure and avoid pain. But that same instinct that kept us alive in the wilderness is now keeping us stuck in mediocrity. The modern world doesn't require survival the way it once did, but thriving, that takes effort, that takes intention. And that takes the willingness to walk into discomfort deliberately. Let's face it, waking up early is uncomfortable. Saying no to junk food is uncomfortable. Speaking up, standing out, trying something new, uncomfortable. But so is being broke. So is being unhealthy. So is looking back 5 years from now and realizing you've barely moved. There's no avoiding discomfort. The question is simply, which kind of discomfort are you choosing? The discomfort of discipline, or the discomfort of regret? Growth is uncomfortable, yes, but it's also empowering, because every time you do something hard, every time you lean into fear, every time you choose effort over ease, you send a message to yourself. You are not weak, you are not lazy, and you are not a slave to your impulses. You are in charge. And that mindset, that belief in your own resilience, is what creates long-term transformation. We've all seen people who once had passion, had dreams, had energy, but over time, they settled. They got comfortable. They said things like, "I'm fine," or "this is good enough," or "maybe someday," and little by little, that comfort wrapped around them like a blanket until they forgot what it felt like to be driven, to be hungry, to be alive. Don't let that be you. Don't let comfort become your prison. You have to build a life where discomfort is not the enemy, it's the signal. It's the green light. When you feel fear, when you feel stretch, when something feels difficult, that's where you lean in, not pull back, because that's the edge of your current limits. and pushing those edges is how you grow. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but over time it steals your strength. Discomfort, on the other hand, feels like a burden now, but later it gives you freedom. The freedom of confidence, the freedom of achievement, the freedom of knowing that you became the kind of person who did not let comfort keep them small. So excuses are one of the most dangerous forms of self-sabotage. They feel logical, they sound reasonable, and they provide instant emotional relief. But make no mistake, every time you make an excuse, you are robbing your future of its potential. Excuses don't just delay your progress, they quietly dismantle your belief in yourself. Every time you justify inaction, every time you rationalize laziness, every time you let yourself off the hook, you are telling your future you're not worth the fight today. And the problem is that excuses are seductive. They come dressed in clever disguises. I'm tired. I've been working hard already. I'll start when I have more time. It's not the right moment. You believe them, you repeat them, and before you know it, you've built a habit of postponing your purpose. You've trained your mind to accept less. And the more you accept excuses today, the harder it becomes to break the pattern tomorrow. Think about it like this. Your future is watching you 5 years from now, 10 years from now. There's a version of you who either lives in the results of your discipline or the consequences of your excuses. That future you is either living the life you dreamed of or stuck cleaning up the mess made by the decisions you avoided. Every excuse you make today is a decision to hand your power to fear, to doubt, or to temporary comfort. And those decisions add up. The most dangerous thing about excuses is not what they delay, but what they destroy. They destroy momentum. They erode self-trust. They create a life of what-ifs and almost. They build walls between you and your goals. Walls made not of failure, but of hesitation and self-betrayal, because deep down you know you could do more. You know you were capable of better. And that gap between your potential and your reality becomes a quiet burden you carry every day. We often think the big enemy is failure, but failure is honest. At least you try. Excuses, on the other hand, are a silent kind of failure, the kind you don't notice until it's too late. They keep you comfortable today, but cost you everything tomorrow. And what's worse, the more you use them, the better you get at justifying them. Eventually, they become your normal. If you want to grow, if you want to rise, you have to stop giving excuses power. You have to treat them like the lies they are. Because behind every excuse is usually fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of effort, fear of change. But when you expose that fear and push anyway, you take back your power, you build mental toughness, you build a habit of action. You begin to live on purpose instead of letting your life be dictated by fleeting emotion. And here's the truth. Life is not waiting on the perfect moment. There's no perfect season, no perfect plan, no perfect opportunity. There's only the choice you make right now. You can give in to your excuses and let them control your path, or you can stand up and say, I'm done lying to myself. You don't need more time, you need more honesty. You don't need better conditions, you need a stronger commitment. Because in the end, your life will be defined not by the excuses you made, but by the actions you took in spite of it. Time is the one currency you can't earn back. You can lose money and get it again. You can lose energy and restore it. You can even lose relationships and find new ones. But once time passes, it's gone. It doesn't pause for your doubts. It doesn't wait for your fears. It doesn't give you permission slips or do-overs. The clock is moving, whether you move with it or not. That's why the most dangerous decision you can make is to waste today waiting for the right time, because whether you act or hesitate, the minutes will keep ticking. And before you know it, the future you once dreamed about becomes the past you regret. The idea that you have time is a comforting lie. You don't have time, you have moments, you have choices, you have now. And what you do with now determines the quality of the rest of your life. Too many people live as if they're going to get a second life to do things right. They delay the conversation, they postpone the effort, they make excuses for why they can't start. And all the while, the days keep slipping away unnoticed and unrecoverable. And then one day they look around and wonder why they feel stuck behind or unfulfilled. It's because they didn't treat time like it mattered. They treated it like it was infinite. But time doesn't care about your comfort zone. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't slow down for your convenience. It moves forward relentlessly, and when you finally wake up and decide to take life seriously, you'll wish you had started earlier. So why wait to feel that pain later when you can feel the power of action now? If time is going to pass anyway, you might as well use it to build something meaningful. You might as well use it to become the version of you that you keep imagining. The question is not whether time will move. The question is whether you will move with it. Ask yourself this: what could your life look like 12 months from now if you used every single day wisely, if you showed up when it was hard, if you stayed disciplined when it got boring, if you said no to distractions and yes to your purpose? It's not about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about recognizing that every minute you spend scrolling, procrastinating, or second-guessing is a minute you could have spent moving, building, becoming. And eventually the compounding power of time will show up to reward you or punish you, because time will either multiply your discipline or magnify your neglect. The people you admire, the lives you wish you had, didn't come from magic. They came from a decision to make time count. Not once, not on special days, but daily. Because greatness isn't built in grand gestures, it's built in the daily investment of time in things that matter. And when you start living that way, when you start treating each day as sacred, you stop asking for motivation. You stop waiting for miracle. You stop wasting time on things that steal your future. You begin to live with urgency, not panic, with purpose, not pressure. You don't get to keep time, you only get to use it. And the worst tragedy is to reach the end of your life and realize you were busy but not intentional, that you were active but not aligned, that you were present but not truly alive. Time will pass anyway, so make it count. Not someday, not next week, now. You don't need motivation, you need responsibility. Motivation is fleeting, it's emotional, it's temporary, it's unreliable. You hear a great speech, watch a powerful video, read a good quote, and for a few moments you feel like you can conquer the world, but then life happens, you get tired, you get distracted, the spark fades, and now what? Do you wait for another dose of motivation? Do you keep depending on emotional highs to move forward? If so, your progress will always be conditional. It will always be fragile. Because the truth is, real transformation doesn't come from motivation, it comes from responsibility. Responsibility means doing what you said you would do long after the mood you made the promise in has left. It's the difference between a wish and a standard. A wish is what you feel like doing when life is easy. A standard is what you hold yourself to when it's hard. When you take full responsibility for your actions, your results, and your direction, you no longer need someone to push you. You don't need a pep talk every morning. You don't need ideal conditions. You become the source of your own power. You move because it's who you are, not because you feel like it. Let me ask you, when was the last time you kept going even when everything inside you wanted to quit? That's not motivation. That's integrity. That's responsibility. That's the part of you that's tired of breaking promises to yourself. That's the part of you that's done letting emotions dictate your outcomes. You see, when you shift from being a consumer of motivation to a producer of responsibility, your entire life changes. You stop hoping for change and start creating it. Responsibility puts the power back in your hands. It removes the excuses. It silences the blame. It forces you to ask better questions, not why is this happening to me, but what am I going to do about it? That shift from victim to owner is the turning point of all progress. And it's uncomfortable because it means you can no longer hide behind circumstances. You have to face yourself, but facing yourself is where true strength is born. We live in a culture that celebrates motivation but often ignores responsibility. We chase emotional highs but avoid the discipline that sustains growth. That's why so many people start but never finish. They sign up for the gym but stop after 2 weeks. They set goals but abandon them by February. Why? Because they were chasing a feeling instead of building a foundation. They were motivated but not committed. But when you choose responsibility, you start showing up differently. You stop looking for permission. You stop waiting to be rescued. You start building systems instead of relying on willpower. You become consistent, not just intense. You begin to live by design, not default. And slowly but surely, that responsibility starts shaping a new identity, an identity built on reliability, action, and integrity. You become the kind of person who follows through, who gets it done, who refuses to be defined by circumstances. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another quote or another emotional video. You need to draw a line in the sand and say, from this point forward, I own my life, I own my results, I own my effort, because when you do that, you become unstoppable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Every single day you wake up, you are handed a gift more valuable than gold: time, choice, and potential. The tragedy is not that people aim high and miss, it's that they aim low and hit. They settle, they coast. They trade growth for comfort, progress for distraction, and purpose for procrastination. But not you. Not anymore. You now know that pushing your everyday isn't about giant leaps. It's about consistent effort. It's about doing the small things with excellence. It's about pushing past your excuses, challenging your comfort, owning your time, and showing up with responsibility, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching. Because success isn't found in the moments of motivation, it's built in the trenches of discipline. Time will pass whether you rise or sleep on your potential. So choose to rise, choose to work, choose to honor your future by pushing in the present, because what you're building today is not just a career, a body, a business, or a reputation. You're building you. And when you change, everything changes. So don't wait for life to hand you permission. Don't wait for a perfect plan. Push your every day, because no one is coming to do it for you. The world doesn't reward intention, it rewards execution. It rewards the relentless. It rewards those who show up, tired but consistent, afraid but courageous, uncertain but committed. This is your reminder. Your time is now. Your life is yours. And your push, your daily push, will be the difference between a life of regret and a life of impact. So stand up, get clear, take action, and push every single day.